And now's not the time to go to the cuts, division, conspiracy theories, and hate, frankly, of
But
a
your
number of the
campaign,
conservative candidates.
your campaign has been so focused on John Rustad and on that division and on those conspiracy theories and pointing out what candidates have done and said in the past and bringing that up. I mean, rather than telling people what you are going to do for them.
Oh my goodness, did we hear that correctly? A CBC journalist actually asking the question that everyone is thinking about David Eby? Eby, you are not running on your own record. You're just running on criticizing Rustad.
Like my friend Anita Krishna in Canada, she worked for a global news or a big news network. She started to ask just regular questions. She's like, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? We're a news organization. Isn't that what we do as a news organization? And she got fired for that, of course.
Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing, is asking questions, asking the right questions on behalf of the people that we report to? Of course, that's what we're supposed to be doing. But we're not doing that. But I have to, give credit where credit is due. This CBC host, his name is Stephen Quinn, the early edition, interviewing Eby and actually asking him the questions that we want to hear. Okay, we are 3 days away. So I hope that people get out and vote. And I called this thumbnail orange bad, not to say like orange man bad, like the way they talk about Trump, which I think is absolutely stupid. This is, I'm telling you, orange bad. Do not go orange. If you see orange anywhere, turn and run the other way, because we've had 7 years of orange, okay? And the last 2 years, we've had David Eby. And look at it. Look at the catastrophic state that our province is in. The election, October 19th, people were voting early. If you got up there and did that, that's great. I'm glad you did. But this is where we're at here. This Horgan left and we had a $6 billion surplus. Now we have the deficit. How the hell do you do that? We're handing out drugs left, right, and center, putting the vending machines outside hospitals, which have videos teaching kids how you do cocaine, until there was so much backlash that they removed that. We have Eby criticizing involuntary treatment of children who become addicted because of safe supply. 10 days ago, their approval rating, the NDP, were below 40%. I mean, maybe they're creeping up. Maybe it is neck and neck. But to the normal people that might follow and listen to me, please, for God's sake, do not vote orange. Don't go orange. My mom tells me that all her friends don't know. They don't know who to vote for. They don't know what's going on. They feel very confused. They watch Global and then they see that stupid ad come on with risky Rustad. Obviously, the disclaimer, you can hear the voiceover at the end go, paid for by the NDP. So you know who paid for that damn ad that they run in the first commercial break on Global after they spend the first A block slamming Rustad. So the news is biased. Forget about them. Look at Zussman. Look at Baldry. Look at how they tweet and the rubbish that they tweet. It's like they have got their head up the ass of Eby and they're just like, they just do whatever he wants, But anyway, affordability is a problem. Rent is a problem. This whole friggin' IVF, all of a sudden it's like this, some IVF has come to be, an abortion, some big election thing. I mean, this is not like, Wyatt Claypool once told me, this is not an IVF election, but yet they want to turn it into that. And they want to freak out young girls that they're taking away your rights, when really maybe you should rethink pregnancy and casual sex and blah, blah, blah. There's, that's a whole other show. I should do a show on that. How not to get pregnant. Anyway, and the carbon tax and the yada, yada, yada. Let me tell you this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And the lady who does my eyebrows said that one of her clients is NDP and another client is a healthcare worker. And this person actually said that she thought the NDP would save healthcare. So I don't know what they've been smoking. No, your healthcare, has it been saved? As emergency rooms shut down, as you can't find a doctor. We have doctors. I'll do a video on that, but we're having like a distribution problem of the doctors. I mean, we're in a mess. So many people don't have a regular family doctor. If they go to the ER, we send people to the States, and you want to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Time to move the orange out. Okay, our orange NDP, no. Now, let's listen to a little bit more of this interview.
No, because you don't know all of the things that are going to happen over the 4-year course of a mandate. We didn't know that we were going into a huge global pandemic, and then we didn't know that interest rates were going to go through the roof, and that we were going to face global inflation, all these things, climate emergencies.
Oh, good God, climate emergencies. Just blame everything else. You guys pushed the destruction of the economy.
Floods, forest fires. So people need to know what the values are of the people they're electing. And so if you're putting forward a candidate that thinks that vaccines cause AIDS, or that calls people who are gay groomers, or slurs the Muslim community and says they don't have a place at the table, how does
Oh, please find me the clip where John Rustad ever said anything like that. And the other thing is, he's not calling gay people groomers, and you very well know that by saying that. We all know what's going on in school. We know that what our kids are learning. They're getting so confused about gender. I'm a parent. My oldest graduated. The young one is in high school. I know what they're learning. You know, in my son's class of like 20 kids, when he was in grade 6 or 7, 3 of them became theys and started becoming the opposite gender. What are the chances? Is because they're being taught that.
does that inform how your cabinet will make decisions when you're in government?
Again,
These are
but what
important
you've just said has become boilerplate for you through this entire
Mhm.
campaign. Instead of, again, you throw in these criticisms of your opponent rather than telling us what you're going to do.
Well, Stephen, I
That's
think it's
right.
important for people to know who's running. In my own constituency, a guy named Paul Ratchford, on Orange Shirt Day last year, this is the day when we recognized what happened to Indigenous kids at residential schools, posted a tweet that said he wouldn't wear an orange shirt because he wouldn't stand for the misrepresentation of Canada's history.
Again with the orange shirt day. And then there's a whole, well, we could do a whole separate video on all of that.
And he went on from there. And so it is important for people in my community when they're marking a ballot to know if they're interested in reconciliation, if they believe climate change is real and an urgent issue,
Oh, gosh.
if they care about the diversity of this province and it being a safe place and welcoming for everyone, then the NDP
You know
is the
what
place to mark the
happens?
ballot. This
Is they take it too far. Everybody embraces diversity. My parents came to this country from Fiji. They came, and my dad came in like 1971. Then my mom came a little bit after, and we grew. We became Canadians. We kept our culture at home, but we totally embraced Canadian culture and society. We were working citizens, contributing to society. You know, and embraced this country. But you know, they tipped the bucket. They just tipped the bucket, so that normal high school kids can't find jobs because they're going to temporary foreign workers.
is a serious election around those
And what
values
about
questions.
the people who are looking for a job that pays a decent wage, that need to make a living because they have to go rent an apartment that's costing them $2,500 for a 1-bedroom apartment?
Good
I mean,
question.
there are day-to-day, just cost of living issues that are inescapable, and that people are looking to government to help with.
Absolutely right. And so our concrete proposals on that are immediate support with the cost of living, with a tax cut for middle income households.
A tax cut for middle income households. Why haven't you done that already? You've had 2 years. NDP has been around for 7 years. Don't just talk out your ass of things you're going to do. Why haven't you been doing them? It's the same thing. It reminds me, like with Kamala Harris in the States. People are like, turn the page, turn the page. You're on the page. You're on the page. We do need to turn the page. We need to turn this orange page.
Strong
So
action
this
on
is the
housing.
this is the $1,000 a year.
The average is $1,000
for
for the average household, and you don't have to own a penthouse in downtown Vancouver to benefit fully from it, like John Rustad's long wait program that kicks in 2029. It's immediate. It's for all taxpayers in the province. The first
How
year is
far does
actually for people
$1,000
on disability as well.
When rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,500, how far does $1,000 go in a year?
Yeah, well, it makes
Good
a difference for a
questions. I
lot of
like this
families.
guy for doing that.
And also, we need to work on affordable housing. And this is another critical issue. You know, John Rustad's housing plan doesn't add a single new unit of affordable housing, not one. And for people who are interested in driving down the cost of housing, you
Where's
have to
your
build more
housing
rental
now?
housing. You have to control the excesses of Airbnb, people buying up whole homes and condos to turn into hotel rooms. You have to address people buying up homes and leaving them vacant through the speculation of vacancy tax. John wants to get rid of all of those things. And I know it is brutal out there for
He probably wants to amend them so they work better, because it's not working, is it?
housing right now. It would be so much worse. And our proposal to build 300,000 middle income homes across the province, that's what experts say our plan.
You know, they always say they're going to build these homes. Who's going to afford them? How are we going to afford them? I mean, great, build more homes, but how are we going to pay for this? How do normal people get into these homes and afford them?
All of that costs money, and you took what was a surplus budget under John Horgan and turned it into I mean, we're in a situation now where you're facing an accumulated deficit of nearly $9 billion. I mean, the highest ever in the history of this province. That's on you heading into this election.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we're facing in the provincial budget the same pressures that people are facing in their household budgets. We're at the bottom of the economic cycle. Resource prices internationally are at some of their lowest points, slowing global
No, no, no,
economy,
no, no,
global
no, no. You're doing that. Your government policies are ruining the resource prices,
inflation. All these are having an impact. So there is a
the
choice,
mining, etc.
and that's whether we support people
Oil,
right now and they
gas.
need that support, or whether we don't. And we think we should be building our healthcare system.
Gosh, I love how he says, like the government is like your household too. You're feeling the pain. We're feeling the pain. That's why we have a $1 deficit.
Why are chambers of commerce and business organizations telling us to vote conservative? Why are you not having the support of the people who are bringing business into this province and creating jobs in this province?
Yeah, there's
in the private sector.
I don't think that's correct.
I can't even believe this guy's asking it. Like this is fantastic to put him on the hot seat. Keep going. I can't believe Stephen Quinn is asking these questions. That just shows you how bad it is. That even the host is like, "Come on, man, you're so bad. People don't want to bring business here." I mean, I wonder if he's going to get disciplined because CBC is, so pro-liberal, but maybe he won't. Maybe they're like, our numbers are dwindling. Broadcast is a dying business also. If we don't step it up and start asking the right questions, people are going to turn from us.
Correct. There are a lot of businesses that are supporting us. We supported business through COVID, and we're going to continue to support
No, you
business.
didn't.
We've got one of the lowest unemployment rates. We've got the fastest growing wages.
Oh, I think this
And
is
we
all
gotta
bull. When you look around, I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. We don't want this boot to keep, smushing down on people's faces and livelihoods where people are just trying to, swim upstream to have a lucrative business. If you have a small business, if you have a medium-sized business, if you have a big business, it's like a Chip Wilson. It's all good, all good. If you're really big, you employ lots of people. If you're medium-sized, it's great. All of this is good for the economy. And especially if you have a small business, a little sandwich shop, a little cafe, that's all great. We want all of that to flourish and do well here. We've had enough of David Eby. I've said what I've had to say. Orange, Eby, bad. Let's go to blue. As someone who worked for Global Television and I put Bonnie Henry on television was just like a matter of just kind of just putting her camera up and hitting a button and then listening to her drone on about modeling numbers and closing down your business for hours and hours on end. And it didn't make any sense because you don't really base public policy and close down businesses based on modeling numbers. But little did Global ever tell us that. But anyway, I very rarely heard anyone say that they want to fire this woman. Anyone that has said, get rid of this woman, I will fire this woman, has got my vote. This woman does not deserve to have a job. Any man that says, that's running, or a woman that says, I'm getting rid of that person, should have everybody's vote in the province. I got this off Drea Humphrey's Twitter. I hope she's okay with it.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of decriminalization, get rid of the drugs off our street, get rid of the safe supply. All it is doing is destroying lives. We're going to bring that to an end. We're going to make sure in our healthcare system that we hire back our heroes. We're going to get rid of the mandates and get rid of all these silly restrictions that are put on there. As you know, we've got our health officer in British Columbia, the top health official in British Columbia. She goes off to Ottawa, and she says that we should be doubling down on decriminalization, and we should be making safe supply available in our grocery stores for people just to go in and pick up. Absolutely crazy. And I tell you what, the damage that is doing in BC is unbelievable. So she will not be working for a conservative government. I can
Don't need her. She should be punished.
We're also going to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that people can afford to live in this province. And so that's why we're going to scrap the carbon tax. That'll put $1,200 into the pocket of the average family in British Columbia. as soon as they drop a federal writ so we can get rid of this thing and put that money back into people's pockets in British Columbia.
Yes, they do have to drop the federal writ first. It's easier. He's going to go on to say it's easier to get rid of provincial, but they've got to muck around with the federal first.
Well, we got to make sure that there's a federal writ that's dropped first, because if we don't, they might implement their tax. And I can tell you, getting rid of a federal tax is a lot harder than it is getting rid of a provincial tax. So we got to make sure we do this right so that they can't come in and mess things up here for British Columbia. Exactly. On top of that, with affordability, my staff wanted to call it this, we're going to implement what's called the Rustad rebate, which is up to $3,000 a month for your rent or your mortgage or your strata fees that you're going to be able to apply for a tax credit. That'll be equivalent to about $1,800 a year for people in British Columbia in terms of savings. So between the two, that is close to $3,000. That is the largest tax relief that households will have received in BC's history.
Yeah, so he wants to decriminalize safe supply and mandates, because the mandates, although they're ended, it's still, people are applying for their jobs that they used to have. It's still not just a clean sweep. It's not like somebody waved a magic wand or sprinkled fairy dust or something and you can have your job back. There's still a lot of hoops to jump through. And I think there's a vaccine registry that you have to still register for. It's not like a clean sweep. It's not like it's completely eliminated. But okay, so he wants to get rid of that, get rid of Bonnie Henry as the public health officer. I couldn't agree with more than that. I loathe that woman. Get rid of the carbon tax, axe the SOGI nonsense, and just start teaching kids how to read and handwrite and reading, writing, arithmetic. That's what you need, and a bit of physical activity, right? Taxes on used vehicles. Oh, okay, good. That's a good one. And he wants to add the Rustad rebate, push for bail reform, push for additional court systems to timely address prolific offenders. And then involuntary compassionate care, that's a big one, and universal health care by both government and non-government agencies. Yes, I'm going to do a video about more of that. But those are just some of the things that he is talking about. He's not just going around criticizing, I don't like Eby because he's too tall or whatever. Whereas Eby, everywhere he goes, he's like, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's a conspiracy theorist. So I got to say this, anytime anyone in the media starts using that term, laugh in their face. Please laugh in their face, because that is just one of those terms. Well, we know where that came from. They came up with it. The CIA came up with them after JFK and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, are you really trying to tell me that all those people that stood on highway overpasses and all those people that went to Ottawa and all the rallies and protests that were going on during the Freedom Convoy, all of those individuals are conspiracy theorists? When I think of conspiracy theorists, I think of people who like UFOs, aliens, and Bigfoot. You know, that's a nerd. That's what I think of. When I see a mother pleading not to do something that she does not feel comfortable with, and she has every right to, and then people say, well, you're fired. I wouldn't call that a conspiracy theorist. I would call that somebody standing up for their rights and then being oppressed. So everybody, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. I'm so grateful for anyone who's subscribed to my channel. I'm on Rumble. You can find me if you search my name, Anita Krishna, or AK Straight Speaks, Anita K808 here on YouTube. Share the video if you want, but more importantly, I just want you to get out and vote. Okay, get out and vote. Go blue, blue, blue. And if the blue guy lets us down, don't worry, we'll hold him to account. But go blue, 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 orange bad. Okay. Orange bad. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.